And we are live. Alright, my very first stream here on my newly installed AntiX 17.1. So, you guys in the chat, please let me know if the audio is good or bad. Also let me know if the video is streaming correctly. I really didn't have time to play with this before going live. I've been away all day. I installed AntiX, this morning and played around with it a little bit, but I just sat down in front of this computer about 15 minutes ago to get ready for this stream. So yeah, Marcus in the chat says audio is fine, I guess. Good audio. Hector, Mark says yep, it's streaming. Dan is also in the chat. Are we in the air? Okay guys, I have no idea exactly what we're gonna do this evening. No show prep at all, but this is AntiX 17.1, and you guys know I usually like to live inside the Openbox window manager. That's kind of my go-to window manager. It has been for many years. I first used Openbox around 2008, 2009 was the first time I installed Openbox, and I just immediately fell in love with it because it was light, fast. Well, by default, Openbox is not installed on AntiX. They have several minimal, lightweight window managers installed, though. They have ICE WM, they have JWM, Herbst WM, Fluxbox, and I'm probably missing one or two others, but I know they've got those 4 installed. And what I think I'm gonna do, when I did the Obscure Window Manager project, I really liked Joe's Window Manager when I reviewed it. JWM, Joe's Window Manager, is a lightweight, minimalist, kind of a Openbox, Fluxbox kind of window manager. Has that same look and feel, has right-click menu that's very customizable. Joe's Window Manager comes with its own panel, similar to Fluxbox, very configurable, where Openbox, of course, doesn't come with a panel by default. Joe's Window Manager supports dynamic menus, pipe menus is what they call them in the Openbox Window Manager. So all my shell scripts for all my pipe menus, I can easily convert them over to make those work here in Joe's Window Manager. So what does Joe's Window Manager look like out of the box? Well, you guys won't get a chance to see it because I have modified this a little bit already. So let me hide some of these windows. But we have the panel here at the bottom, and I've already configured the Joe's Window Manager panel here. I've got this logo here, this AntiX logo, basically launches my right-click menu. It's actually a left click or a right click menu the way I've got it set up, either a left click or a right click on the desktop. We'll open this menu. Actually the middle click works too, so all 3 buttons will launch that menu, but if you don't have available space on the desktop to click, this logo here also works. Launches the exact same menu. Of course I have a pager here. I have 4 virtual desktops set up in a 2x2 grid, so 1, 2, 3, 4 for the grid here. And then of course I have the taskbar, which is really the most important part of the panel to me. It's just having this taskbar where I can minimize and unminimize different applications. Of course I've got 3 monitors here, so I'm clicking on stuff and it's actually unminimizing stuff on my other 2 monitors. One of the problems with the Joe's Window Manager panel by default, I was able to configure it so I had a panel on all 3 of my monitors, but it shows every single application open regardless of what screen they're on. So I have OBS over here on this monitor you guys don't see, so I really don't need it in this taskbar for this screen. I really would like to configure this to where the taskbar only shows applications on that current monitor that I'm on. This is the way I had Tent 2 set up in Openbox, so I need to see if I can configure that here in Joe's Window Manager, because that's kind of a little bit of a deal breaker for me. I don't want to see too much information in this panel. Right now I've only got 5 programs open, but with a triple monitor system, it's not unusual for me to have 8, 10, 12 programs open at a time. That is going to get really crowded down here in this taskbar. So I need to try to see if I can fix that. One thing I'm also used to in Openbox is Openbox I was able to configure the panel to where a middle click, the scroll wheel click on the mouse, killed a window. So if I went down here to where GUVC view is and I middle clicked it with the mouse like I just did, it would kill that window. That was a really neat feature. I don't think I can do any kind of editing of what the mouse bindings are in Joe's Window Manager. At least I couldn't find any kind of documentation on it. You guys that know a little bit more about Joe's Window Manager than me, I'm kind of a JWM noob. You know, I haven't used it that much. Reviewed JWM for about half an hour on the channel a while back, but I don't know too much about it. But if there's a way that I can set some mouse bindings, you guys let me know. I pulled down some of my old configs, some of my old themes, icon sets. Of course, you guys remember my conky. I was running this conky on my Openbox session inside Manjaro. I just pulled down that exact same conky. It still has all my key bindings and stuff for Openbox, which are not going to work here in this JWM session, at least not right now. I'm eventually going to configure JWM to where all of my old Openbox key bindings work in JWM, or at least the ones that I can get to work. Some of the ones I may not be able to get work is in Openbox I was able to configure the windows to where we had sort of a pseudo tiling function where I could super key in one and like make the window go in the bottom left quadrant of the screen, super key in 2, the bottom right quadrant, and so forth and so on. You know, it kind of had some tiling functionality to it. I'm not sure if I can do that kind of stuff with Joe's Window Manager, how much tiling functionality Joe's Window Manager has. And of course you may be asking, well, why am I gonna do Joe's Window Manager if you're happy with Openbox, you have Openbox set up? Well, I installed AntiX. AntiX, again, I want to live in one of the default desktop environment / window managers that is installed on AntiX. I mean, if I'm going to give AntiX a proper review, you know, live in it for, you know, a couple months, 3 months, 6 months, however long I end up keeping AntiX on this machine, you know, at least for a little while, I want to use one of its default window managers. So Joe's Window Manager is kind of the one I'm thinking of going because it's so much like Openbox. I could have lived in Fluxbox though and been happy. Ice Window Manager the same way. I probably could have done it. Herb's Luft WM, I don't know much about it, but it's a tiling window manager. I'm pretty comfortable using tiling window managers too. So I think I'm going to do Joe's Window Manager at least for a little while, because I'm kind of curious how much configuration I can do with Joe's Window Manager. You know, if I can really get it to look and feel and function exactly like I was able to do my Openbox session. I'm not sure. The install for AntiX 17.1 was very fast. I pulled down the ISO. The ISO, I want to say, was about 800 megs or so. Wasn't a very big ISO. The install process went smooth. You guys have seen me install AntiX. I did a review of AntiX 17 a while back. But I want to say that install process, you know, once you set up your username and password and all and click OK, the install may have taken 5 minutes. A really, really quick install. Now, I had chosen to base this on Debian SID, the Debian unstable branch. So after that 5-minute very quick install, that's really just kind of like the base install. When you reboot your machine, obviously you need to run an update, right? So sudo apt update, sudo apt upgrade. I had 1100 packages that needed to be upgraded because now I'm on the unstable branch of Debian. So pretty much every single package on the machine needed an update. So updating 1100 packages, that's kind of scary. You never know, you know, things are going to break or not. But I ran that update. It took a little while to update 1100 packages, but I ran the update, rebooted the machine, everything booted up fine. So everything seems to be working correctly. One thing I will say, just recording this video, I have Firefox open over here on this third monitor. I was actually watching the stream here, just the video portion of the stream, and I think Firefox is actually freezing up on me. I can't actually move the window, and I can't actually close the window. I'm not sure what that's about. I haven't noticed anything like that yet, but again, I haven't been using AntiX for very long. I was away most of the day today, so haven't played with it much. And of course, I've got a lot going on here right now. I've got OBS streaming live. I've got GUVC view streaming here, or showing my webcam. And this is, what resolution was I using on this webcam? I was using kind of a higher resolution. Nah, I don't see it now. I think I was using like 960 by 720 or something, and 30 frames a second for GUVC view here, so a little higher resolution than I normally do just for having a webcam up. Looking back at the chat while I'm wondering if I can do anything with Firefox here, I may have to X-kill Firefox and restart Firefox. Dan mentions he's never heard of AntiX before. Yeah, AntiX has been around for a little while, and AntiX is actually a pretty popular Linux distribution. If you go to DistroWatch's page, which I can't actually go to it right now because, again, my browser froze up on me a second ago. I'm not sure. I can't even left click or right click on the desktop right now. Actually, the whole desktop looks like it's locked up on me. That's not good. I may actually have to restart here. Let's see if I can get anything at all to come up. No, but anyway, I'll keep reading the chat while I wait here. Yeah, Marcus mentions JWM similar to Openbox. Yeah, it's very, very similar to Openbox. And Mr. Go F yourself. Ooh, you're live. Whoop, whoop. Yeah, I am. I just got Shark Linux from OS Disk. Oh, cool. I didn't know OS Disk was still around. I remember back in the day they were pretty popular because having disks, you know, was a little bit more important than it is nowadays. Nowadays, it seems like everybody just uses a USB stick for everything. Also, internet speeds now, internet connection around the world, you know, it's not as important as it used to be to share live CDs and live DVDs with friends. Run with the Dolphins also in the chat. AntiX JWM has a WinGrid built in. Okay. Check out the keys file, Control Center, JWM, the keys file. Yep, I will. I actually did take a look at some of the JWM config files earlier, and I remember there was a file called keys that did include some key bindings. Dan, is JWM considered to be tiling or floating? It's a floating window manager. Floating window managers, sometimes they call them stacking window managers. But really, most floating window managers have some tiling capability. And pretty much every tiling window manager has some floating capability, so the lines are not so clear-cut sometimes. But JWM is really meant to be a floating window manager. Unstable rocks. Yeah, Debian unstable, I don't know if I would say it rocks. I mean, it's a different experience. I'm glad Debian has the 3 different branches, the stable, the testing, and the unstable branch. It does give you some options. Lamarck is in the chat room. Hey, Lamarck. Cool Conky. Yeah, the Conky, it was borrowed from the old Mabox Linux distribution. Mabox had a very, very similar Conky. I pretty much just ripped off his Conky, made a few changes. It's not exactly what was in the Mabox Linux distribution, but it's pretty close. Although I will say the fonts are a little messed up here. Like the date is March 20th, the 2020 here. It's not where it should be. But I probably need to install some fonts. I'm not sure what fonts this Conky was using. They may not even be installed in the system. So I need to go through the trouble of sudo apt installing, you know, all the various fonts I need. All the free fonts anyway that are going to be in the Debian repos, like you know, Deja Vu, Liberation, the Droid fonts. I don't think they have the Ubuntu font family in the Debian repos last I looked, but I usually install the Ubuntu fonts. I really like the Ubuntu Mono font for a mono-spaced font for my terminal font. It's very easy on the eyes, easy to read. iCubic is in the chat room. I was going to ask you about coding in Java, but then I realized that this is JWM, not JVM. Yeah, I know nothing about Java. I'm not really a programmer. So, Joe's window manager and not Java virtual machine. Yeah, LOL, I feel stupid. Well, when you start asking me about Java virtual machines, I'm going to feel stupid. So, it works both ways on that. Alright, RM Selig. Sounds great. Kevin Elwood. DVDs. I remember 50 floppies, yeah? You know, what's funny is about a month ago, I was throwing away some old machines of mine. I have so many old computers. Some of them still run. I mean, I've got some computers that are 15 years old. I'm still able to get various versions of Linux, lightweight distributions, something like AntiX, you know, to run on. But I've got machines that are even older than that. I pulled one out of my closet the other day that still had a 3.5-inch floppy drive on it. There was no hard drive or anything. I guess I'd stripped it for parts at one point. There really wasn't much else to it. I ended up tossing it out. But a 3.5-inch floppy drive, I just wonder how old that computer was and why it was still sitting at the bottom of my closet. Run with the Dolphin. WinGrid lets you do the quadrant tiling. Okay, that's really all I need. You were mentioning the quadrant tiling. Yeah. Openbox, you can do various settings. I mean, you can have the window sized and placed wherever you want to put it on the screen. You can do like half and half, or you can do the 4 quarters. You can even do like a grid of 3 by 3. You know, the sky's the limit. However you want to arrange the windows. But if I can at least get it to a grid in a 2 by 2 quadrant, that'd be great. Mr. Go F Yourself. Yeah, I live in the middle of nowhere, so OS disk still rocks for me. I hate corrupted ISOs. And RM Selig, I think you will love Rocks. Yeah, you were asking me to take a look about Rocks in the past, and I never got around to it. And Rocks is installed here in AntiX, so I probably will play around with Rocks here in AntiX a little bit, and may do some videos on it. One of the file managers that also is on AntiX is the Space file manager, Space FM. I don't know really anything about it, so that'll be an interesting experience. I did go ahead and install PC Man FM on here too, the PC Man FM file manager, because it's what I'm used to. But I'm gonna try to spend a lot of time playing around in Rocks and Space FM, since those were the 2 file managers installed by default on AntiX. Again, I want to use, you know, a lot of the default programs on it, at least initially. And why not the testing branch of Debian? It would keep you a little bit more safe in your workflow. Yeah, that's why I didn't do it. Yes, it would keep me a lot more safe. Debian stable actually would keep me very safe. That's usually what I would do on this main production machine. Why I don't do it now is because I do this YouTube channel. If things break, I really don't mind it that much, because I get to share that with you. Hey, this broke on me when I did this. Here's how to fix it. You know, Debian stable would be a little too boring, because I wouldn't expect anything to break on it, right? So, and yeah, iCubic mentions is AntiX based on Debian. It is. You can base AntiX on Debian stable, testing, or unstable. And I still do not have anything going on my desktop. This is unfortunate. I can't click anything. I can't move anything. I'm not exactly sure what caused the screen to freeze up. I can still move the cursor around. I'm not even sure if I can stop the stream, because I can't click over on OBS and hit the stop streaming function. So this is going to be an interesting live stream tonight. I won't be able to pull up like any news or anything. I guess I'm just stuck here. I do have a glass of beer though, so. Can you install non-free software on Debian? Yes, you can. Keegan is in the chat too. Yeah, you can install non-free software on Debian. It doesn't ship with non-free software by default, but you can get non-free software. You can add non-free repos. Of course, you can always go out and grab deb files. You can always compile your software, flat packs, snaps, whatever you need to get. I will say that I did install Discord on AntiX earlier this afternoon with a flat pack. It installed fine. I was going to install snaps on AntiX, but when you go to install snapd, apparently there's a conflict because snapd requires systemd to be on the system, and systemd is not the init system on AntiX, so I'm not sure if I can do snaps or not, which is unfortunate. I actually like to use snaps when I can. But flat packs work. I'm sure I can also install lap images if I need to. I use GhostBSD for desktop, FreeBSD for server. Okay, Alger. Non-free as can't view modify source code, as not free as in costs. Yeah, you can install closed source software on Debian. They don't prevent you from putting anything on your machine. They don't put that kind of stuff in their repos, but you're free to go grab any non-free software, proprietary, closed source garbage you want to go put on your machine. Yeah, go. I mean, they don't restrict it. And they just don't ship it by default, and you won't find those programs in the repos. Joseph John is in the chat. Hi, Derek. Hi, Joseph. Good to have you. RMC Salient OS is really doing it for me. Beautiful Debian Openbox distro. Yeah, I loved Salient when I reviewed it. Darkwin's in the chat. How's it going, Derek? Pretty good, Darkwin. Good to have you on board. William Nice, or Nice, I'm not sure. What do you think about Leary OS? Haven't heard of it. I'm going to write that one down, though. And, well, normally I would put it in a text file here on my desktop, but I can't. I can't do anything right now. Oh well, I'm just going to keep looking at the chat. Eventually, I'm going to have to stop streaming. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to kill OBS. I guess I'll have to drop down into a bash shell and kill everything. I'll worry about that when I get to it, though. Intellectual Monk is in the chat. Hello, DistroTube. Glad to join the live stream for the first time. Good to have you. Joseph John, never tried AntiX. I assume that the default package manager is DPKG. Yeah, well, the Debian package manager, yeah, is apt is the name of the package manager. But yeah, you can install with apt, DPKG. You could install graphical stuff like GDebi, Synaptic. Pretty much everything you're used to in Debian. It all works. Has the window manager started working again? Not yet. I still prefer MX, Lamarck says. Yeah, if you want a more modern desktop, fully functional desktop, MX is the way to go. This is very minimal. What AntiX does out of the box is a very, very minimal install, which is fine. It's kind of right up my alley. I like this kind of stuff, but it's not for everyone. Where MX, everyone would be comfortable running MX. Brave Man doing the channel on unstable. Yeah, we'll see how it works, but the good thing is these days these Linux distros are so quick and easy to install. I mean, because I've got everything backed up from just doing this install, if I wanted to, I could wipe AntiX out tonight and be back up and running on something, within an hour or two. So, and Sakis, I hope I'm pronouncing that name right, says hey. Hey Sakis, good to have you in the chat. And Harish, I am on Maybox, really cool distro. Yeah, Maybox was great when I took a look at it. Dan Carter, just installed Unstable for the first time on my main workstation, considering switching from Ubuntu to Debian. Thanks for recommending the mini ISO in your previous vid. Yeah. If you like Ubuntu, Debian is very similar, except you're going to miss some of the Ubuntu tools if you're used to Ubuntu, like the tools to add proprietary drivers and such. That you're not going to have those kinds of tools in Debian. It'll be a little bit more involved, adding the third-party drivers and codecs and stuff. I mentioned the Ubuntu fonts. I like the Ubuntu fonts. You're not going to find the Ubuntu font family in the Debian repo, but that's easy to go grab from somewhere else. PPAs, of course, you're not going to have PPAs in Debian. Is there an Openbox version of Manjaro? No. At least there wasn't when I did mine. What I did is you guys know I was running KDE Manjaro, and I got tired of KDE, so I just blew away KDE. I uninstalled KDE and all its dependencies, and I installed Openbox on Manjaro. But I don't recommend you guys do that. That's kind of not the correct way to go about it. If you want to do Openbox on Manjaro, I think they do have a community edition for LXDE. LXDE uses the Openbox window manager, so I would do the LXDE version. It's going to have an Openbox session on it. It's not going to be set up. You'll have to configure that Openbox session. But pretty much everything you need will already be in the LXDE edition anyway. A lot of the apps you're going to use. So, why do snaps require systemd? Can't that make it so that any init system will work? That's a good question. I'm not sure. I didn't look into it. I just know if I pulled up a terminal right now, which I can't because the screen is locked up on me. It's just everything is locked up on me. No, nothing is working on any monitor. But if I pulled up a terminal and sudo apt install snapd, it's going to tell me that it can't because it's missing a dependency. The dependency is systemd. So let's see. I am running MX. Was a huge fan of Crunchbang. That's Kevin. Yep. So was I. Crunchbang was awesome. Haha, how will you stop the live stream? Turn off the computer? Yeah, well, that's one way I could do it, but I'm not going to try it right now. I'm assuming I can get to a TTY prompt if I need to. Maybe, I'm not sure. It may be that locked up to where I can't even do that, but if I can drop down into the shell, then I can kill OBS. So, and then reboot the machine. Don't bother killing OBS. Just restart with OBS running. Stuff will just work itself out. Maybe. Alger, the distro I'm about to test is Solus. Yeah, Solus. I've got Solus actually running on this laptop right here. Solus is awesome. Really enjoying Solus. And Solus is very easy, very configured. Right out of the box. You really don't have to do anything to Solus. It's a really nice distro. Intellectual Monk, I tried Zorin OS 12.3 Ultimate today on real hardware. Was really disappointed because the issues of installing packages from the terminal. Had to edit and change sources.list. Yeah, but that's... I understand a lot of people don't like using the terminal, but sometimes, you have to use it. Especially when things break. Sometimes when things break, you're going to have to use the terminal. You just need to get over the fear of doing some things in the terminal, and editing and making changes to your sources list and Debian and Debian based distros. It's not the worst thing in the world. Plus, it's good to have that kind of experience, so the next time something like that happens, you're prepared for it. Look at it as a learning experience. I know some users hate Mint, but Mint XFCE would never freeze. I tried everything. Yeah, I'm not sure what's causing the freezing on this. Again, I just installed this today, and I haven't really used it much. I'm not sure what could be causing the problem. I have OBS running, GUVC View running, Firefox, a couple of instances of Firefox running. Conky, of course, is running on the desktop. That's about it. But one of those programs, or a combination of those programs, are not playing well with each other. By the way, some of these programs I mentioned I'm running, they were not installed by default on AntiX. AntiX, pretty minimal ISO, not a lot installed out of the box. It's a lot of minimal lightweight apps. So you're not going to have things like LibreOffice and GIMP and that sort of stuff. So I installed OBS, GUVC View, Kdenlive, Audacity, GIMP, all the things I use on a daily basis to make my video. Simple Screen Recorder, which I used this morning to make that short little video right after I completed installing AntiX. And that worked fine. I didn't have any problems making that video with Simple Screen Recorder, also using GUVC View in that. So I'm not sure. Could be an OBS thing. I know OBS sometimes freezes and crashes, regardless of distro. I've had OBS crash on me in the middle of a stream before, so. A lot of chat is flying by here. How many of you guys are actually in the chat today? Well, I can't even look at it. I can't scroll back up either if I miss the chat. So if you guys say something and I miss it because it's scrolling really fast, I can't do anything about it. I can't even go back to look at it now. Dennis is in the chat. Bay to all. Bay, Derek. I'm not sure you saying hi or bye. Either way, good to see you, Dennis. Control-Alt-T opens the terminal. Yeah, good luck with that. Well, I'll try it. Just, yeah. Nothing's going to open anything right now. I like the Gwake terminal, F12. Yeah, it's nice, too. I like the Gwake terminal. William, I love Arch Labs. There are a bunch of options to you to customize the distro, even it being an open box distro. Yeah, Arch Labs is nice. I like Arch Labs. Joseph, I love using Arch and KDE. It makes a lot of fun. You can do just everything you want yourself. Darkwin, now I can't wait for Solus to switch to Budgie from GTK to Qt. Yeah, that'll be interesting. I'm interested to see how that switch goes, if it's a smooth switch or kind of a big change. Dennis, terminal the best. 2 exclamation points. Bay. I'm not understanding the bay, Dennis, but terminal the best. You're right. Kevin, been running Seduction for a long time, and it is very fast and more stable than I expected. Like it a lot. I like Seduction too. I considered putting Seduction on this machine. If I had installed Seduction, I was going to do LXD or maybe LXQT. But I ended up going with AntiX. I thought AntiX would be the more interesting of the two as far as providing a little bit more of a challenge, being that it's mainly for older machines. The suite of software that's installed on it, you're using window managers like JWM and IceWM and file managers like RoxFiler and Space FM. No, not your typical window managers, not your typical file managers, not your typical programs in general installed here on AntiX. So if you make the terminal multicolored and not black, people will not fear it that much. That's true. That's true. If you have a nice X resources file with a lot of color, that way whenever you have to fire up Xterm or whatever, yeah, I agree, it's not as scary. Also, add, like NeoFetch to it, something that adds a little ASCII art to the terminal when it first logs up, and make sure that ASCII art has a like a nice picture, a friendly picture, nothing scary. Maybe Pony Say. Pipe out Pony Say into NeoFetch. That way a picture of a My Little Pony comes up every time you open up the terminal. That way, nothing says, hey, don't fear me, like a My Little Pony. Oh. Joseph John, Manjaro never worked for me. I have a pretty new hardware, to be honest. Arch font sucks no matter whatever tweaking you do. Yeah, sorry to hear Manjaro didn't work out for you. Of course, some distros, depending on hardware, that's why everybody distro hops. And a lot of times you'll install something, it works for a while, then something breaks on you, you move on to something else. It's the greatest thing for a little while. Something breaks on that one, then you move to the next distro. Intellectual. Sorry I could not phrase my sentence correctly. What I meant was installing software from terminal had real issues as its software center is not that good. And I absolutely love the terminal. Okay. I'm a bit afraid of using Solus because it's like Arch Linux. It's rolling release. I hope it doesn't break soon. Well, it is a rolling release, but it's not like Arch. The Solus rolling release model is a little different. It's not as on the bleeding edge. It is a rolling release, but Arch is a little bit out there. So is Gentoo. They tend to break very often. I don't expect to really have any breakages on Solus. I've been trying to keep the machine up to date here in Solus, and most days I go to update the machine, there are no updates. So they're holding stuff back, where you're not going to go more than a day or two on Arch or Gentoo without having some updates. Sometimes a lot of updates. It's not unusual to update your machine one day and then the next day update it again and there'll be 150 new updates. So Interceptor, what's up DT? I've been playing with Slack's Fluxbox window manager. Any tips on how to customize Fluxbox? I haven't played around that much with Fluxbox, but I do have a Fluxbox session here on AntiX, and I plan on configuring it. I plan on configuring all the window managers installed on AntiX eventually, and I probably will do videos on those. So, but Fluxbox, the config file is pretty straightforward, pretty easy to configure. If you're concerned at all how to configure it, just pull down somebody else's config. There'll be a million Fluxbox configuration files out there. Go to github.com and just look for whatever the name of the Fluxbox config file is. Darkwind, there's 12 people in the chat. Okay, I'm glad you can see that. I can't look at anything. Does the numlock key work? That's a good question. Let's see. No. My Little Pony, that would be hardcore. Yeah? I think you can install some Microsoft fonts on Manjaro. Yeah, you can get the Microsoft fonts on pretty much every distro. Everybody packages the MS fonts because you really need those fonts to view the web correctly. Most websites require Arial and Times and Comic Sans and all that. Even Debian, there's a package to install the Microsoft Core fonts. I installed it, I think, earlier today. It was one of the font packages I pulled down. I think it's in Ubuntu, in Arch. You can find I think it's called TTF-MS Core Fonts. I think that's the name of the package in most distros. I could be off on that. I know it starts with TTF, though, and somewhere in the name it includes MS Core. So just do a Google search and you'll find the Microsoft fonts. We Linux users never distro hop or have a flavor of the month. I don't know what you mean. That's true. We install something and that's it. Nothing else will ever exist on this machine except AntiX. At least probably till the end of March. April 1st. I might be on something else. No, probably not April 1st. Maybe May 1st, though. Early May, Fedora comes out, the new release of Fedora. Might have to install that on physical hardware. Solus is actually tested more or less. Yeah. And that's what I've noticed playing around with Solus in a VM and playing around with it on the laptop. It's not, as Wild West, as Arch and Gentoo, where, those packages, as soon as they're available, they're in the repos, you can go grab them. They're not tested. They may break stuff. You don't know. You don't know until you install them. You can install any font as long as you get compatible file formats. Yep. Nick Petrov. Hi, everyone. Hi, Nick. Intellectual. Well, Deepin OS is quite good distro. It's very stable, looks great, works absolutely fine. Just install Synaptic and you will be rocking. I really like Debian. I like the distro. I like the desktop. I like the way it looks. I like the workflow. Hate how much CPU it requires, though. The CPU usage on that thing is off the charts. If they could get that way down from what it is now, I would have absolutely no problem putting Debian on one of my machines. But when you enable the effects, you know, like the cool little window effects and stuff in Debian, you know, with the transparencies and blurs and stuff, the CPU percentage just starts skyrocketing, starts pushing 100. I can't install that on any of my machines. Not being used to minimal window managers that are just lightning quick and don't take up that much CPU. By the way, Joe's window manager, which I'm in now, really lightweight window manager. Viewing the Conky here, the numbers are very skewed because I'm live streaming here, of course. But Joe's window manager, under 200 megs of RAM, you know, probably what it runs on before I start opening things. Lamarck, if you don't update frequently, Arch, it will sooner or later break. Yeah, that's with every rolling release, though. You really have to keep them updated. If you go a long time and then you have, you know, some big update, 500-600 packages or more, over 1,000 in some cases, sometimes it's better to just go ahead and reinstall than taking that update. Or at least back up the system before you do the update. That way you're prepared to reinstall if things go bad. Shater. Never figured how to pronounce your username. Maybe you'll let me know in the chat. Hello, Derek in the chat. Hello. Let's see. Dan, have you done an in-depth video on i3 Window Manager? I have not. I don't know really anything about i3. I've been asked a lot about it. It is one of the 12 obscure window managers in the list that I'm going to review on the channel. I picked 12 minimal, lightweight, obscure window managers to review for the channel. I recently did Xmonad, which was number 7 in the list. The 8th one in the list is Awesome Window Manager. I don't know when I'll get to that. I really haven't even thought about it. Probably in a week or two I'll get around to Awesome. And then we have, I think, Luft. Have I done Fluxbox yet? I may have to do Fluxbox. i3 is the next to last, I know that. And then Ice Window Manager is the 12th one in the list. So I will do an in-depth video on i3 soon. I have a friend who needs help and wants me to VNC or something alike. Any suggestions? No, I don't. Maybe some of the folks in the chat will give you some help. Even if I had some suggestions, I couldn't type it right now. I'd have to just tell you. Maybe you guys can type some stuff in the chat, though. For the folks that rewatch this video, you know what? I didn't even think about the chat either. If it's going to replay the live chat, if there was a setting I needed to do in YouTube. I don't know if I've made a stream since they've included the replay live chat feature. We'll see how all that goes. Again, I just kind of threw this together here last minute. I am losing track of where I am in the chat. I wish I could scroll back through some of this. I know I've missed some things here. I apologize, guys. Any of you that have said hi, just joining. But this is interesting. This is what happens when you install a new operating system and decide to do a live stream. You know, right now my computer froze up about 5 minutes after I started the stream. I can't click on anything, scroll anything, close anything. I can't open a terminal. I'm just stuck here streaming. So I'm going through the chat and responding to you guys, and that's about all I can do right now. Eventually, of course, I'm going to have to drop down into the shell and kill everything and reboot the machine. Alright, let me quickly try to go through the chat to try to get caught back up here. Joseph John, how many people here have a distro hopping disease? Probably a few people in this group, at least some of the folks here that I know in the chat. A lot of these guys distro hop, probably more than me. I don't distro hop that much, actually. A few times a year. There's some people that they're on something new every couple of days. William, so far no problems using Manjaro. Yeah, Manjaro is solid. I could have stayed on Manjaro. There was no reason for me to get rid of Manjaro. If you're having problems and need Microsoft fonts, you can install Windows, take all the fonts, and put manually into Linux. Yes, you can do that, but you have to have a copy of Windows available. But you can find the Microsoft fonts available for pretty much every distro out there. How is the community for Debian OS? I'm a little scared of that one. I have no idea either. I've never went to their website or anything. When I reviewed Debian and was looking for a little bit of documentation, though, a lot of it is in Chinese. So any community they have, probably most of it will be Chinese. So that could be a problem, you know, when you're trying to get support or just trying to find documentation. Finding, you know, good English documentation could be a challenge with Debian. Das Geek is in the chat. What's happening, my friend? AntiX is awesome as it looks. I joined late, might have missed the discussion. You haven't missed anything. I started streaming and the computer froze up and I've been stuck here. Where the windows are on my screen, that is where they're going to have to stay. I can't move anything, can't grab anything, can't get my right-click menu in JWM to do anything, can't minimize with the panel. Everything froze up. I can't respond to the chat. I can't do anything. So all I can do is sit here and watch the chat go by, and I've just been responding to people's questions and comments, which is fine. It's not the kind of stream I normally do anyway, so this is kind of interesting, just seeing what you guys want to talk about. Obviously, I'll have to take a look at AntiX a little further down the road once I get it a little more set up. And I almost did not do this stream because I thought about it. I was away all day. I just installed this morning. I have no idea how any of my hardware is going to work. OBS I installed, you know, a few minutes before streaming. Like last minute, I was putting some settings in OBS, my stream key for YouTube, and I installed Pulse Audio and was trying to get the mic to work this morning. Pulse Audio is not installed by default. So I thought there could be some issues with this, so I almost didn't I didn't even bother hit the start streaming button. But you know, I had it scheduled. I was like, I'm just gonna go with it and see what happens, because I left my house this morning, oh, I don't know, 11, 12 o'clock or so, and I was gone all day until half an hour or so before the stream. Got into this chair about 15 minutes before the stream started and realized I didn't have a lot of the stuff I needed. So I was trying to install stuff and set stuff up. So alright, yeah, I missed some of the chat while I was scrolling here. Sorry, guys. Alger, he needs to go. Greetings from Alaska. Bye. Alright, Alger. Glad you stopped by. What do you think about people that are afraid of using Debian because it's Chinese? They say they'll spy on you, they are commies, etc. Do you agree with that? No, I don't. A lot of people have that problem with Debian. A lot of people have problems with Rosa, R-O-S-A, because it's Russian. The software, the operating system, everything is open source. So if there was a problem with it, the code is out there for everybody to look at. We'd kind of know if there was something crazy with it. That's the thing about open source. You can't really hide anything in it. You can't hide, you know, spyware or malware or anything in it, because people are going to find it if it's open source. Ritual, what's up, man? A little late. How are you liking the new setup? You do unstable or testing repos? I like the new setup before I hit the start streaming button tonight. I'm doing unstable, and I don't know. My computer is frozen right now, Ritual. I can't do anything, so I can't click on anything, can't move anything. So I'm just sitting here talking and drinking a beer. Well, at least the frozen screen looks pretty, yeah. Yeah, Joe's window manager is pretty configurable when I was playing with it before streaming. Played with it a little bit this morning. It's nice. I like it. I just need to figure out what the problem here was. But, you know, it's the first time I ever did anything with OBS on this machine was 5 minutes before streaming, so. And I'm not sure if OBS is what caused the screen to freeze here. Could be Firefox. I've got Firefox open. Could be GUVC View, the webcam I've got open. If you have installed an SSH server, you might get a clean reboot from another machine. I thought about that. I do have SSH installed on AntiX because I knew I would probably use it at some point, so I did install SSH on it. The only other machine I have handy is the laptop here with Solus. I didn't install SSH on it. And I'm not going to bother going through that and doing that on the stream. But that is a good idea. Joseph John, I gotta go. Thanks, Derek. Have fun. Unplug your power cable or remove the battery if you can't end the show. Well, if worse comes to worse, all I gotta do is just hit the power button on the desktop. Take your time, and in any case, you can ask Sergey. Yep. He's offered me some help on getting AntiX up and running. He knows a little bit about it. Of course, he knows a lot about Calculate Linux. Eventually, I'm going to install Calculate on one of my physical machines. I'll definitely pick his brain on a lot of things about Calculate. Do you know any good video tutorials or something which can help for Gentoo installation? Of course, you were asking Shater, but I can tell you Das Gregor, his channel, Das Gregor. He does Gentoo and he does Linux from scratch. That's the problem with Debian unstable. Yeah. Toss, remain calm. Use Ubuntu Mate. Yeah, Ubuntu Mate probably wouldn't have froze. But it's boring. You know, you gotta have some drama. We were talking about this the other night on the Big Daddy podcast. You know, doing these unstable rolling release distros, they provide a little excitement. I mean, I had absolutely no idea what was going to happen when I sat down at this computer and hit the start streaming button. No idea. Alden Garnett, is Deepin resource heavy? Yeah, Deepin is probably the heaviest distro as far as resources. It's a resource monster. So if you don't have a really high-end machine, don't even bother with Deepin. Ron Lee, oopsies, I just heard that. You stuck, DT? Yeah, I can't do anything here. Mouse and keyboard, nothing's working. Can't open anything, close anything. Can't type anything. And it's been like that since the stream started almost an hour ago. I'll probably let this stream go another few minutes and then close it. Originally, I was going to stream a little longer, maybe show you guys a little bit of the software installed in AntiX, go through some stuff, but obviously that's not happening this evening. So, and I don't want to go too long, you know, just reading through the chat here. So I'll probably around 9 o'clock here Central Time, which is in another 6 minutes, I'll shut this down, which should be interesting. You guys want to stick around for that. Let's see how the shutdown process goes. Not exactly sure what I want to try first, but I'm gonna get OBS closed somehow. We're gonna stop the stream. even if I have to go throw a breaker. So, why don't you kill everything with HTOP? Yeah, that would be great. If I could get HTOP open, that would work. But I can't launch anything. Now, if I could drop down into the shell, if I get to a TTY prompt, then I could use HTOP. I was shocked when I saw Kubuntu having only 380 RAM on cold boot. Yeah. KDE, if you don't have a lot of background services and a lot of stuff running in the sys tray, KDE doesn't use that much RAM. And the problem is, on most distros, you're going to have a lot more going on than just the stock KDE desktop environment. You're going to have a lot more background services running. So you're going to look at probably twice that much, 700-800 megs, which is not that bad. Most machines now have at least 4 gigs of RAM, so it's still lighter than GNOME too. So GNOME pushing a gig sometimes when you boot that thing up. Ubuntu originates from unstable too. Yeah, Ubuntu, they tend to base their interim releases on testing, and they base their long-term support releases on stable. I think they do pull in some unstable stuff for their development releases, for the alpha, beta stuff. But for sure, when they do their LTS, that's all Debian stable at that point, because they want that thing, the LTS release, to be as solid as possible. Let's see, if you turn Deepin effects off, Deepin will use around 300 to 400 megs of RAM instead of 700 megs, yeah. I didn't find the Deepin desktop to be too bad on RAM. I mean, it's still heavy, but I mean, it's no worse than GNOME or KDE or Cinnamon. But CPU usage was really, really high in Deepin. Really high. Alger is back. Yeah, I'm going to give it a few more minutes, Alger, and then I'm going to try to kill the stream. Oh, well, at least you have an awesome system going. Yeah. I don't do OBS live streams that often. I try to do one a week, so I may not see what the problem is until the next time I try to do a live stream in about a week or so. But again, I don't know if this problem is OBS related. It may be a problem with Joe's window manager. Maybe if I'd logged in to Openbox and tried to stream within Openbox, everything would have worked fine. Toss, I'm not sure the OS is the only thing unstable. You guys have a strange definition of excitement. Yeah, the distro hopping, window manager hopping and all that, it can get out of control. It'll take control of you if you let it, Toss. That's why, a lot of people admire you, and then you stick to the mate. And you don't go anywhere. I can't do that. Alden, favorite desktop environment. My favorite desktop environment, if I was going to use a full desktop environment, I like LXDE because it's light and it's stable. If you're wanting something a little bit more modern, Budgie. I really, really like Budgie. I like where it's going. Still not as mature as it needs to be. It's not quite ready for prime time, but it's close. It's close. Sakis. One advice to everyone. Stay away from rolling releases. Yeah. I would agree with that to a point too. If you don't need to be on a rolling release for some reason, there's no reason to be rolling. I would never put a rolling release on any of my machines, other than the fact that I do this channel, reviewing Linux distros and reviewing stuff in Linux. If I didn't do this channel, I would install Debian 9 on this machine, and that would be it, until Debian 10 comes out. Nothing in the world is so high than GNOME. Sorry, GNOME lovers. High in system resources. Yeah, Alex, you're right. GNOME is pretty bad. It's probably the worst of the bunch, other than I mentioned the Debian desktop environment. It's really, really bad as far as system resources. Does Alt plus F4 work in Linux? You know what? Let me try it. Nothing's gonna work for me right now. I don't know if it was gonna work in AntiX or not. I know it's not gonna work for me right now because everything is not working. And again, there was nothing wrong with AntiX earlier when I installed it and played around with it. This is just when I started the stream, everything froze up here. It actually started, I had a second window of Firefox open here, and I was dragging it over to my third monitor. You guys are looking at my second monitor. I have 1, 2, 3 monitors. I was dragging a window of Firefox over to the third monitor, and when I got it there, it stopped at some point, and then I tried to open a tab, tried to close it, and I noticed Firefox was not going to close. And then I started playing around with some other stuff and noticed nothing was working. So might have been Firefox that triggered this, me just dragging it around the screen. Also, I don't think I was using any kind of compositing. I don't think I launched Compton. I need to check on that. That's another thing I didn't think about, is compositing. But again, you know, I really didn't plan this out that well. I mean, I told you guys many hours ago that I was going to do the stream tonight, but I was away all day, and I just got to this computer just in time to do this. So, but anyway, I said I was going to keep the stream going for about an hour, and then I was going to try to kill the system. And it's about that time. Let me quickly try to get through the last of the comments, but I'm about to shut it down, guys. So more people talking about KDE resources. It's big on resources. It can be. Q4OS, good for a newbie? Yes, it is. Toss, don't ever get married. Keegan, distro hopping, window manager hopping, desktop environment hopping, file manager hopping, pogo stick hopping, trampoline hopping. Yeah, we just all love to hop. Rolling releases are fun. That is the most important reason for using them. Every day, something new. That's true. Every day, something new. I couldn't have said it better myself. And again, if you feel any problems with Gentoo, then don't hesitate to ask Sergey, Das, Gregor, and Irish. Yeah. Any of you guys that are interested in Gentoo at all, or interested in Linux from scratch at all, you really need to subscribe to Das Gregor's channel. And another, stay away from rolling releases. Yeah. And Alex mentioned, sorry matey, I love to take the risk. I love to feel strong emotions. Nothing better than a breakage. There you go. That's the right attitude. Does the Budgie desktop use too many resources? No. The Budgie desktop's pretty good. It's not the lightest, but it's not heavy by any means. Ron Lee, seems OBS freezes. Bug alert. I've never had OBS freeze on me, at least nothing like this. I've had crashes using OBS. OBS has never been the most stable program, at least for me, and I don't use it that much. I mean, I use Simple Screen Recorder most of the time to make my videos. So some of the guys that use OBS on a regular basis, you know, to make all their stuff, it would be interesting to see what their experience with OBS is as far as crashes and freezes. Alright guys, so I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get to any kind of TTY prompt, see if I can drop down into the shell. If I can, I'm going to kill OBS from there. If I can't, I'm going to power off the machine. I want to thank everybody for joining the stream tonight. You guys are great. I wish I could pull up a list to see everybody that was here and say bye to all of you, but I can't. I can't even see how many people are in the chat or who's in the chat. But the ones that I can see in the chat right now, Alex and Evil Step Twin, Toss, Keegan, Diamatma, Alger, Intellectual, Ron Lee, Shatter, Lamarck is in the chat, Ritual, some of the guys that were here earlier. Sakas, yeah, thanks Sakas. Dan, thanks for the stream. Thank you guys. I do apologize for telling you guys that we were going to be, playing around with AntiX and Joe's Window Manager this evening, when obviously we did none of that. So, but you know what? Once you start the stream, wherever it goes, we just go with it. Kind of like my videos. When I do the install and review videos, I have sometimes major breakages and things that just don't go right in those, and I just go with it. Sometimes I make mistakes on my own, and you know what? I keep them in the recording. I just go with it. So the same thing tonight. This did not go like I'd planned at all, but I'll just go with it. Anyway, let's see. Let's see if I can get to where I need to go. Good night, all. I appreciate you guys.